Hi everyone, and welcome to another Pilates session. Today is about another 20 minutes and it will all be seated. We do need one extra prop today, and that is a cushion. If you don't have one, it doesn't matter, but it is quite helpful to feel an inner thigh connection. That's what we're doing it for. Our focus today is not on moving the spine so much, thinking more about the hip joints and the shoulder joints. We're going to keep our spine very still. So this little 20-minute workout is really appropriate for people that might be limited with spinal movement or might not be able to do it because they have osteoporosis or osteopenia. And that's when you need to keep your spine very stable because your bones are losing a little bit of their density. So it's almost like we're going to be in a cardboard box today. So we're going to keep our spine very still, but focus on all of the areas around that. Okay? As always, we're thinking about our posture, so we want to be sitting up as nice and tall as we can, and we're trying to have a nice deep breath in and out as we move through class, trying to avoid little sniff breaths in through the nose, but trying to really use the diaphragm. If the breathing starts to confuse you and you feel like you're holding a breath, don't worry so much about it, but just try and get a flow with the movement. That will be part of your breath. So let's just start with our sitting position. I've just moved myself a little bit forward so I can feel my feet flat on the floor. From here we want to feel like we've got a sort of alignment through our legs of tracking second toes through the center of the knees to the center of the hip. So those are our sort of train track alignments. That means we don't roll the knees together, we're not rolling on the outsides of the feet, and we're trying not to rapidly turn the legs out. If that is a sort of more normal, comfortable position for you, that's fine. But if you can, we're going to try and work parallel. You don't have to have your feet barefoot, but that's where I am today. If you're in shoes, that's fine, but do be aware of trying to keep each of your toes connected down with the floor. So again, not rolling those feet out. Okay, so for now we're going to leave the lower body alone and focus on our head and our neck and our shoulders. So little head movements first of all, starting of course by taking a deep breath in, and then as we breathe out we just let the ear drop to the shoulder on one side, so it's a little neck tilt, and then come back through the middle, and then let that head drop to the other side and back center. So we're just going to keep doing this. You might feel you're getting a little stretch through one side and then through the other as you tilt the head. We'll do this 4 more times in total. So nice, easy breathing. Lovely. And again, sitting up nice and tall. 1 more to each side for me. All right, now keeping the spine nice and still, we're going to look to one shoulder and then back center and the other shoulder and back center. So not twisting my whole torso very stable. Again, imagining you're in that cardboard box or you're sandwiched between 2 panes of glass. I'm thinking about pulling my abdominals in a little bit as well to help support my spine to stay nice and upright. We'll do 1 more of these on each side. Over one side, over the other side. Okay, now we've got a little bit of brain work because we're going to combo those 2 movements. 1 neck tilt and 1 side look. So we're going the same side first of all. Here we go, your neck tilt and your side look. Other side, neck tilt and your side look. And again, neck tilt and your side look. Again, your neck tilt and your side look. We'll keep going. So the good thing about comboing movements is it gets our brain to connect a little bit more with the muscles and fire them up, which is proven to increase the muscle work and the muscle connections. So we're trying to think with our muscles as well as move with our muscles. Now this is the last one on this side, last one on the other side. Yeah, and then we just release that and we'll do some shoulder circles around. Nice and big, circling all the way around. We'll do another 3 in this direction, around. Nice big movement, and then we're going to take that back in the other direction. So we're going from the back, up and over and down. And again. Good. And again. And again. And we'll go one last time. Lovely. Now if you keep your elbows into your waist, we're going to do some wrist circles. I've made little fists as I do that. So just a nice circling movement round, and you might find that it's a little clicky sometimes when you do this movement. That's all right as long as there isn't any pain. And we're going to go back round the other way. So the reason I brought my elbows into the sides of the body is it stops us kind of doing wrist circles like this, which often doesn't mean that we're actually circling the wrists. We're getting more movement through those elbows. So just focusing on the wrists. All right, let's do one more. And then pause. All right, so we're going to think about a little bit of rotational movement at our shoulders. I'm going to get you to go palms up and reach your arms out. So my fingertips are roughly in line with my shoulders. If that's uncomfortable for you, they can go a little lower. We're just going to rotate to palms down and rotate palms up. So I'm talking about my palms, but following the movement of my palms is a bit of movement as well. So my elbows are moving and my shoulders are moving. Actually, my elbows aren't really moving. They're just following the line of the body and what's happening with the shoulders. We're going to do two more like this. And we're going to do one more. And then we're going to release that down. Okay, we're going to combo that with an arm reach this time. So hands down by your sides, and we're going to be palms up. If you've got a little bit less space because of your chair, that's fine if you're starting there. So we're going to come up, and then go palms down and come down. Palms up to come up. Palms down to come down. Palms up to come up. Palms down to come down. Palms up, palms down. We'll go a couple more times. Palms up, palms down, palms up, palms down. All right, same idea. Palms up to lift, palms down to go down, but we're going to add in a little bit of side movement as well. So palms up, and we're at the side. So you should be able to see your hands. You haven't gone too far behind you. They're a little bit in front. Sweep them in front, and then go palms down to press down. So palms up to the side, come in front of you, flip them over, palms down. Palms up to the side and in front, flip them over, palms down. We're going to do this a couple more times. If you're getting confused about the flipping bit, don't worry. Just do what you can. Okay, if you can, bigger movement. So right up over your head and then right down in front. Right up over your head and then right down in front. So I'm still palms up to come up, palms down to come down. But I've just got that bigger movement into the shoulders. And as soon as those arms go above shoulder height, you're going to increase your heart rate. You're going to be working that little bit harder. So also very important to think about our abdominals and pulling our belly in to support the torso as we've got that extra movement with our limbs. And also maybe to think a bit more about your breathing as well. We're doing two more here. So I've got an inhale and an exhale. And again an inhale and an exhale. Good, and then just give that a little wiggle. Okay, we're going to shorten our lever, which means we're going to bend our elbows. I've got palms up again, like these are little kind of chicken wings. We're going elbows to shoulder height, and I've gone palms down, and then squeeze into the side. We're coming up and squeeze into the side. Now the nice thing about this exercise is you can create a little bit more work for yourself by just trying to squeeze in a little bit more with your elbows, like you were kind of on a bellows, or that kind of accordion shape, that accordion idea. Up, squeezing in. We're going to go up, we're going to squeeze it in. And we've got 4 to go. Still nice and tall with the spine. Abdominals pulling in. Last 2, I might have already said that. Last one. And release. Good. Give those shoulders a nice big circle around. That's been lots of nice work through the arms. We have one last one to go. So we're going to go palms up and elbows at the side. So I'd like you to keep your elbows up to the side and rotate your arms out as much as you can. And then bring them back to center. So the elbows are staying in at the waist. We've got that external rotation through that shoulder joint, which is a really nice movement to get. Really opens out through the chest, particularly if we spend any amount of time in this sort of position. This is kind of the reverse of that. Elbows in at the sides of the body, palms up and opening out through the collarbones. We've got 4 to go. 3 to go. Doesn't have to be super wide. 2 to go. And we are going one last time. And then we'll stop and we'll release those arms and circle those shoulders. Cool. So that was lots going on through the upper body. Let's take our attention down to our lower body now. And we're going to start with our feet. I'm really going to lift my toes up and then lower them down. And again, lift them up and lower. Lift the toes and lower. Lift the toes and lower. We're going to do 4 more. Toes up, toes down, toes up, toes down. 2 to go. And 1 to go. Now we're going to heel lift. So heels up, heels down, heels up, heels down, heels up. If your feet start creeping away, of course, bring them in a little closer towards you. That might help. 4 to go, 3 to go, and 2, and 1. All right. So we're going to go to alternating heel taps forwards now. So we're going to go heel forward, step it in, heel forward, step it in. If you're not liking this extra bit of movement at the leg, you can just lift and lower those toes again. Otherwise, we've got a little tap forward, a little tap forward. So I'm trying to keep my legs in parallel here. And I'm going to try and keep the parallel as I'm going to add in something else on the next one. I'm going to add in a side tap. So I'm just going out to the side. Now, if you have quite a built-up chair, you might want to sit a little bit further to the front edge of your chair, giving yourself that room. So we've got this work through the outside of the hips. We're hip abducting, going away from the body. But we're keeping parallel at this point. 3 to go. Oh, sorry, let's make that 4, so we're going to finish on that side. So now we're 2 to go, and 1 to go, and let's have a little pause. So let's see if we can combo that movement. 1 out wide and 1 forward with the same leg, 1 out wide, 1 forward with the other leg. Okay, remembering brain connecting with the body gets more muscle activation. So let's go. Out wide and in and forward and in. Out wide and in and forward and in. Out wide. So it doesn't have to go very far. And if you're finding that you're getting any knee pain, just go with those forward taps. Let's go for 4 more sets if you can. We're going 3 more sets. Yep. And we got 2 more sets. Last one, tap wide and heel forward. Cool. All right, so that was those outside of the legs, but in parallel. Now we're going to try and rotate the legs, turn them out. So let's put 1 heel forward again. Sitting up as tall as you can you turn the leg out and bring it back to parallel? So let it turn out and come back to parallel. So there should be no discomfort through the body as you do this. It doesn't need to go really wide. And just like we found with our elbows, the elbow wasn't moving. Here the knee isn't moving. It's following what's going on at the hip. And in fact, the foot is following what's going on at the hip as well. So we're just turning it out and center, turning it out and center. And we've got 2 more to go. 1 more to go. And then let's step that leg in. All right, let's try the other side. So leg forward, sitting tall, and open out and center. Now, very common to feel that one side has got more movement than the other. One side is easier to do. Try not to let your whole body move with it. Just keep it a small, kind of isolated movement. This is called disassociation. This is getting our center strong as we choose to move the limb, rather than involving the whole body in all of the movements all the time. And that can be where we get uncomfortable, we get back pain, that the back is working when it doesn't need to be. Here it doesn't need to be, it's that hip. For 2 more. And for 1 more. And then we'll rest that leg in. Good. All right, so I think we can certainly say we've worked the rotation muscles and the abductor muscles. Now it's time for the inner thighs and using that little prop. So it's quite nice to really have something to work with here. So I'm trying to make my pillow as kind of fat as I can. And I'm going to pop it in between my knees. Really important here that you can still feel your big toe joints. You don't want to make this so fat that the only way you can get it in is to kind of lift your heels up or lift your big toes up and roll onto the sides of your feet. You definitely want your feet on the floor. So it's quite a small movement. You're probably not going to see much happening at all. The idea is to squeeze into the cushion and then release it back. We're going to think about our breathing and we're always going to keep our abdominals connected as well. So let's go a 3 count squeeze. So breathe out and squeeze 3, squeeze 2, squeeze 1, and then let's release. So we'll go again. We're going to squeeze 3, squeeze 2, squeeze 1, and then we have a release. And again, let's squeeze 3, squeeze 2, squeeze 1, and release. And we'll go again. And if you need to breathe at any point in addition to the breathing I'm suggesting, please do that. You don't have to be doing exactly the same breath pattern if that's making you anxious or meaning that you can't breathe. I've got one more to go after this one. So let's go again. Squeeze, 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 and release. Cool. So a little bit like this exercise that we were doing, we can create more tension for ourselves by really thinking of the squeeze and the push. So even if there's not much to squeeze, you can really feel that you're pushing something that's maybe twice as fat, that's got twice as much resistance in it. We're going to do some pulses with our last variation with our cushion. So take a deep breath in and we're going to do 10 pulses. So we're going to squeeze and squeeze. So just nice, easy breathing, and squeeze and squeeze. And I think you've got 4, and 3, and 2, and 1, and then let's have a pause. So we've got 2 more sets of these squeezes. So take a deep breath in, and then when you breathe out, you're going to start squeezing, 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 and squeezing. Squeezing, so I make it 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we'll release that. Okay, we've got one last set, so take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, here we go. We're going to squeeze, and squeeze, and squeeze, and squeeze, and squeeze. For 5, for 4, for 3, for 2, for 1, and then release. Good, let's take that cushion out and give that a little wiggle around. Okay, so we're working our way around the legs. We've worked the inner thighs. We've worked the outside of the legs. We've worked the rotators. Now we want to try and get a bit of movement with our hip flexors. This action is on lifting the leg up. Doesn't have to go very high. We're going to alternate leg lifts. You can have your hands down by your side if you want a bit of extra support. Otherwise, like I'm going to alternate a hand tap. So here we go. We're going to hand tap 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Have a little pause. We're going to try and do that again. Again, it doesn't have to come high with the leg. You can just reach and tap down if you prefer. We're cross patterning though, which is a really good movement pattern for the body to keep repeating. So one we use when we're walking. All right, so here we go. Another 8. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then we'll pause. Okay, now I said there was going to be some brain work today. We're going to try and add this with our other sequence, which was our side tap, our forward tap, and then our leg lift. 3 movements on the same leg. Let's give it a go. Let's see if we can get through 8. If you lose your way, just do something that keeps you moving. All right, here we go. Out wide and forward and lift. Other side. Out wide and forward and lift. So that was our first 2. Wide, forward, and lift. Wide, forward, and lift. Good work. Wide, forward, and lift. And wide, and forward. We have only 1 to go on each side. Wide, forward, and lift. Wide, forward, and lift, and pause. Excellent. Nice work, everybody. So great work through the legs, through the hips. Good coordination as well. We're going to finish today with a nice little breathing exercise. We're going to use a little bit of movement with our hands as well, because I think that really helps us sometimes when we struggle with breathing exercises. This is a Tai Chi exercise, and it talks about the sky and the earth energy. We're going to keep the arm movements quite small. You don't have to reach up super high. It's almost as though you are moving your hands around a cloud. That's the idea you're going to think about. So as you breathe in, you're just going to lift your arms up to the top of the clouds, and as you breathe out, you're going to push down into the cloud. So you breathe in, hands go around to the top of the cloud, breathe out, hands come down through the cloud. We're breathing in, and breathing out, and breathing in, and breathing out. Now I don't mind if you're breathing in through your mouth or through your nose. And if you're feeling like you need to go slower than I am, that's all right as well. Should be a nice easy movement. We're going to do a couple more. And one last time. And then rest. And that's you done for today. So nice work, good brain connection, good rotational movements through the shoulders and the hips. Hope you have a nice time, and I'll see you again soon. Goodbye.